Hey, welcome back to the Junius Maltby channel, everybody. Thank you for being here and taking part in the discussion. Today's topic is going to be real brief, just a interesting fact that many of us here, many of you already know. And that's an interesting bit about the current state of our economy, where the Fed is still purchasing $85 billion a month. We throw that number around quite a bit, but there's an old adage or quote out there somewhere, and it's, a billion here, a billion there, and pretty soon you're talking about real money. Well, what that means is the Fed is purchasing and stimulating using, there's basically $1 trillion worth of stimulus being pumped into the economy every year. $1 trillion a year. Everyone was taken back and acted shocked at the idea of the 750 billion. It ended up being more than that. I don't know the exact number. But remember the $750 billion stimulus that was going to fix everything? If we didn't do it, it was going to be the end of the world. Back when the economy was in the midst of crumbling. Well, here we are, and they're doing $1 trillion a year. $1 trillion a year in stimulus. Now, I brought one of the old notes out here that you've seen before on this program, and here it is. It's my first 100 trillion that I made. So I am a trillionaire. Now, this is a real note. If this is your first time on the program, zoom out here for you. This is an authentic Zimbabwean note, okay? $100 trillion, okay? Now, in case many of you are wondering, this note is authentic, like I just said, but it's printed on the exact same paper in the same printing factories, whatever you want to call them, printing presses in Europe that manufacture and make the euro. So, this is legitimate currency. This is government currency. But my question right now is going to be, which one would you rather have? Would you rather have this $100 trillion? I mean, surely it's 100 trillion. That's what they call it. That's what they say it is. It says it right on there, and they promise to pay the bearer on demand. Would you rather have this 100 trillion, or would you rather have this ultra high relief 1 ounce gold coin? Which one could I give you? If I was in fact giving one of them away, which I'm not. I mean, obviously it's an easy question. This $100 trillion won't buy you bubblegum. Now, you got to ask yourself, how did Zimbabwe, how did the nation of Zimbabwe get to this point, to where a $100 trillion note is absolutely worthless, to where people had to pan for gold in the dust of the streets, had to collect gold at any creek or anywhere they could find it in the hills just so they could buy some bread or flour. Now you wonder, I wonder if there's if there's a bit of racism, I guess you could say, in Western culture and in our politicians and economists. I wonder if they're to where they think they are immune from the same economic ramifications of mass inflation that affected Zimbabwe and destroyed their currency. Are Western economies immune to the same economic principles that made it to where $100 trillion notes came into existence and eventually when it became worthless? I mean, the fact they're printing money with almost no end in sight that we know of, and the measurements in the billions and in the trillions. Well, one has to ask yourself, where does it end? When does it end? At what cost? I mean, we all know prices are going up. Look at, stocks are going up. Oil's still $100 a barrel, holding strong. Gold's returning. It bottomed out at 13. It's back up. It's holding its own. The economy is not as improved as they say it is. Canada's on the verge of a housing crisis. I don't know what happened to Europe. I mean, they were on the verge of collapse every day in the news, and then all of a sudden they disappeared. No one talked about them anymore. But eventually something has to give. Prices. I mean, it's a slow process. It doesn't just happen overnight. But mass inflation, or hyperinflation, I guess. Hyperinflation, it's a currency event. It just doesn't just happen. Eventually, at some point, the currency becomes worth less than it is, and worthless. And they're doing it every day and slowly. Look at Social Security. They just decided to raise it 1.3% cost of living adjustment. Really? That's what they think the cost of living adjustment is in the past couple of years? McDonald's just had to change their dollar menu because they can no longer sell mass processed beef for $1 and make a buck on it. You can't make a hamburger for $1 anymore, like McDonald's was. So things are changing. Prices will go up. Goods and services will cost more when the currency and the money we use is worth less. It's hard to stress that point. I get some people just don't grasp it fully, and a lot of people aren't paying attention to it. I know myself, I get caught up in other things. I probably spend more time conversing these topics with you guys who I've never met, who are on the other end of this screen staring at this gold coin here. You guys are pretty much the ones I talk to. It'd be nice if this was a two-way conversation. It's hard to hear you guys on the other end. You know, everyone. That's what the comment field is for below, and the Facebook page. If you guys can get a chance to get to the Junius Maltby Facebook page, that would be great. Anyways, appreciate you being here. Go ahead and talk back to me on there. Hit me with some comments below. And keep the conversation going as always. It's just interesting to discuss this and see what other people think on the topic and where everything is going. Especially with $1 trillion a year. I mean, it's just, $1 trillion is a big number. It's a big, big number. And, you know, where's it coming from? Who's loaning it? What are they buying with it? Where's it going? There's a lot of room for error. You know. Well, again, this is Junius Maltby signing out, and have a great day. Thanks for being here.